have to really try to do it. And that's where geoengineering techniques, the ones that Hugh Hunt has described, can come in, and can come in quite cheaply in relation to, say, military budgets. And they will work, although the dangers, of course, which I think colleagues here are going to talk about, are that what it will do to the atmosphere in reducing the rate of warming, or actually knocking back warming to cooling, could have dangers and impacts which we don't understand. So the case against, which I shouldn't make, but case for, is we've already messed up the Earth by technology, so if we apply more technology, we're going to mess it up worse. So that's the sort of pessimistic view of mankind with technology which is possibly justified. But we have to try, I think, and we have to try methods that are as benign as possible. For instance, marine cloud brightening, which uses only water, as opposed to methods that use sulfur dioxide or possibly other toxic materials released into the stratosphere. But at least we have to try something.
Welcome back, folks. Part 2. And it's going to be a good one. Nikki B, you there, brother?
I am. What's shaking?
Man, shaking, man. I'll tell you. Just ready to knock this second part out, give the folks some more juicy mind candy, and hopefully they enjoy it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so with that said, we're going to delve right on into geoengineering, man. And we'll just briefly run down a few dates, things that you can check out, and give you a little bit of information. And we'll start it in 1889, okay, where the great Jules Verne said, hey, man, let's fire a cannon into the ground, man, tilt the Earth's axis. That'll help melt the poles maybe, and then we can, like, go live on them or something. Well, he might have not been talking like that, but the idea and the way it sounds now, looking back, it sounds like that, like he was in a Cheech and Chong movie.
I was just going to say, I think they did that on one of the episodes of Jackass.
I mean, come on, man. But, yeah, I just wanted to say that because it shows that, you know, the purchase of the North Pole by Jules Verne, they were talking about firing a cannon to tilt the Earth's axis, which would in turn help to melt the poles because we wanted to basically go and populate the poles. So,
right.
And moving on up to 1912, you know, they're talking about the end of the iceberg menace. It was a big newspaper clipping that we're going to move the Earth and melt the poles. It's only going to cost $190 million to do it. You know, yada, yada, yada. You know, they're talking about, oh, yeah, you know, back then, too, I guess in 1912, you know, $190 million, that was nothing. But then you fast forward on up to 1945. We're not using cannons anymore, folks. We are now going to nuke the Arctic to melt the poles. That's right. They're talking about the atomizing of the Arctic. I don't know. That wouldn't have been such a great idea. I'm glad we didn't do it. You know, and these dates, like the other ones, just with the geoengineering, it's on and on, keeps on going. Just like the Energizer Rabbit, still going. Metal particles, right? They sent metal particles up into space to try and create a ring because they wanted to melt the Arctic so we could populate it. And what that's going to do is it's kind of going to bring us around where it's still geoengineering. It'll touch a little bit with the space aspect of it. Is they had a deal where they had sent up, I want to find I got it here somewhere. Just give me one sec. Yeah, because I don't have all this memorized, obviously. I'm not that much of a brainiac. I think it's right over here. Basically what they were doing is they were trying to seed the upper atmosphere with these little copper nodes the size of, you know, mini needles. And it was here, Project Westford, okay? And I will
The
put a
copper
picture.
needle things?
Yeah, I'll put a picture here, or I'll put a picture here to show you the size of them, and just to give you an idea what they looked at. But basically what they did is they took and they shipped 480 million copper dipole antennas into orbit, okay? They did it in 1961, but it failed because they didn't sufficiently disperse. So they tried it again in 1963. Man, I wonder how much money that cost us.
No kidding.
So anyways, they actually dispersed successfully in 1963. And basically the whole nature behind doing this project was they wanted to experiment to allow long distance communications by bouncing radio waves off of band small wires, which are the passive dipoles, cut to a specific length, in an attempt to lay a radio reflective ring around the world. So imagine Earth with Saturn-like rings around it. The small metal dipoles needs were allowed to sublimate out of a matrix. So, what?
Now, how far into the sky were they wanting to build these rings or assemble this band of rings?
Right, lower Earth orbit, I believe, is what they were attempting. And
so they wanted to put a conductor into an atmosphere where electricity is already naturally made, right?
Right. Yeah. What they're trying to do is make it to where I guess we could. Now you got to remember, this is 1961, the 60s. So this was their idea of maybe satellite or smartphones. They're trying to put a circle.
Was it the 60s?
Yeah, well, it happened in 1961 the first time, and 1963 the second time.
They were on dope.
Yeah, there was a lot of dope. But basically, what the whole thing behind the length of these things was chosen to correspond to half a wavelength of the 8 gigahertz transmission frequencies used in the program. So basically, each dipole was about 1.78 centimeters long. And the dispenser that they shot up into space weighed 40 kilograms total. 19.5 kilograms were just the payload of dipoles. And basically they said this was for communication tests. Frequencies of 7,750 and 8,350 megahertz were used. So,
wow.
Did it happen? Yes. Was it successful? No. Either time. It was successfully dispersed the second time. How well it worked, we don't know. But here's what I wanted to talk about. The experiment was greatly criticized by astronomers and scientists alike before it was even launched. They were told, don't do it. Why? Well, because they feared the optical and radio pollution that it would cause, the fallout, the aftermath of this. So,
right.
when I show you guys what they look like, you're going to be like, wow, okay. Well, if they didn't melt up coming back into orbit, and they did reach the ground, or if they didn't even reach us, it had to affect the clouds, the atmosphere. You're talking about 480 million little pieces of copper dipoles times 2.
Insane.
Okay, so now we're pushing upwards of almost 1 trillion of these things. We're seeded all across, dispersed in lower Earth orbit. All right. Now.
And they're probably still just floating around, is that what you're saying?
Well, if they're not floating around, they had to come back down. You would think. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I just know that astronomers and scientists alike feared what would happen. They were worried about optical and radio pollution. So that's telling me, no, it's not going to stay up there. It's probably going to come back down. And even as if it comes back down, it dissolves or burns up, it's still going to be in the atmosphere and getting into the clouds or traveling in the air, I can't even think of the name now. My mind is so gone with so full tonight. But I just wanted to share that because I thought, I just thought people would be like, wow, man, that's pretty crazy that we're trying to do that in the 1960s. And
I think it's completely crazy.
yeah, and now here we are in 2019. HARP in 1965 with Project High Altitude. It was the Project High Altitude Research Program, and the High Altitude Research Program, obviously HARP, where cannons launch chemical payloads into space. All right. They were trying to create basically artificial, they did, artificial strontium and barium clouds in the upper atmosphere. You can look this up, folks. It's there for your knowledge. And then, just with the geoengineering and the weather modifications, there's once again, just like they're yin and yang, they go back together. It's all connected. They have the Weather Modification Reporting Act of 1972, National Weather Modification Policy of 1976, 1980, 1982, 81, 90, and then NASA comes in with their LARGE program. And I think I might have touched base on that in the first episode. But LARGE is basically Langley Aerosol Research Government something. And basically they're experimenting with aerosols and spreading them throughout the atmosphere. You can go look that one up too and find it. So when we say that chemtrails are being sprayed and aluminums and chemicals are being put into the atmosphere, they are, folks. They've created, there's patents on the things that they're hooking to the airplanes to do it with. And then I really found this one very, very important because we were talking about at the end of the last show, Nikki had brought up the lasers of the fires in California. Well, yeah. They have a beam experiment aboard rocket, which is called a BRRS, okay? The BRRS project. Okay, and it's a linear accelerator was successfully launched and operated in space. The flight demonstrated that a neutral hydrogen beam could be successfully propagated in an exoatmospheric environment. Okay, so if they're shooting beams like that, they're shooting other kind of beams. I'm just telling you, folks. Believe me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I understand folks get busy with life, kids and work and so on, but I can't understand how people don't understand what goes on around them. And maybe it's just the right resource that they haven't come in contact with to get their minds rolling, but
right.
All this stuff is real. I've not been to labs. I haven't firsthand witnessed atmospheric manipulation or weather control or anything. But I will say this. I know for a fact that when I was a kid, the planes did not spew stuff out of them that stayed floating in the sky like that for hours upon hours. It did not happen. I don't care if anybody could argue that point. It did not happen. I never saw that. Mm-hmm. Ever. You didn't either.
No.
So those do exist. We've all seen them. And I think most people are just like, oh, look at those strange clouds. People, find out. Do the research. You don't have to take our word for it. Do the research. It's out there.
Yeah.
Find out what that is. Because, everything around us needs oxygen to thrive. Mm-hmm. And it's very important that oxygen stay clean, and that stuff that's going in the sky through those chemtrails, for whatever their purpose is, which we could delve deeper into that at another point as well. We've had some deep conversations about that ourselves. It's not good, no matter what it is and what the reason. It's not good. It's just not. So do some research. Open your eyes. Stuff's amazing.
No, yeah, and it's there. And you want. Here's the thing: even if you're like, it doesn't affect me. Yeah, it does. At the end of the day, when you're sitting there and you're listening to the news, they're trying to get you to donate to XYZ because, oh, the flood, it's taking us out, or we need money to help work with global warming. You can say, well, then, hey, guys, call your congressman. Tell them, stop dealing and passing these bills for geoengineering programs and research that's going to affect the earth. You know, we the people, we got to step up. And if your congressman, your senator, your local, government official, they're only a phone call away. All you have to do is call and voice your opinion. Now, whether it's heard, at least you're trying and you're planting seeds. And if we step up as a group or more people call, then maybe there's a lot of things our congressmen and women don't know is going on. And they just pass bills to pass them.
Right.
So maybe if we let them know, or are all of them too far gone? Are they all paid for? To have special interest bought everyone? Are we now out here on our own? It makes me, it makes me think about what they did up in Oregon.
Which thing specifically are you speaking about?
all the things that have happened in Oregon over the past, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years.
Oh yeah, Oregon, yeah.
I mean, when you got the same government or same governor sending out state patrols to bring in people that don't want to be a part of a bill that has to do with climate that's not right.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. No, you're right, man. Woo.
You see what I'm saying?
Stuff. Yeah.
And it makes you think, man, how free are we?
I agree.
The same governor tried covering up a lot of other stuff that happened. I'm just going to say, I don't know around 2016 maybe? I don't know. I'm just guessing a date where a man was killed in cold blood, murdered, but said that he drew on agents.
Actually, I think that was around 2000. I want to say that all started in 2005. You're talking about the Bundy Ranch deal. And Finicum is the guy's name that was killed.
I'm talking about the other one, too.
Which one?
The one with the old man where the girl has the footage.
Yeah, that's Finnegan. That all came from the Bundy Ranch deal originally. He was one of the protesters on behalf of the Bundys. He was an Arizona rancher. His last name was Finnegan, Finnekim with an M. Oh man, I'm not one to really dwell on crazy things like that, but that's something that I think everybody in this country needs to see. Just that's a real eye opener of a deal. The abuse of power and lawlessness by all levels of power.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take us off in that direction, folks. And I don't want to take it that way, but I'm just saying it's just kind of peculiar how, all these things get passed, all these research grants, these bills that are affecting our weather, that are affecting our crops. Monsanto with the splicing of foods. You got to look on your food and see if it's genetically modified or not now. I mean, what?
Yeah.
I mean, why do I have spider butt cheese in my corn? Because it helps it grow faster and it keeps the caterpillars away. Well, maybe I'm not into eating spider butt cheese.
You prefer caterpillar.
Right. No, I'm just being stupid with it, being facetious. But the point is what I'm trying to go here, folks, is when you hear this, don't say, oh, man, them guys are crazy and off their rocker or they don't know what they're talking about, because we do know what we're talking about. And we're trying to get it out to you. And in doing so, we take the chance of getting banned, of having somebody knock on our door. Because some of the things we talk about are pretty sensitive. Okay. And we're trying to get it out there so your eyes are open. Because I love my fellow man. And don't go through life with your eyes wide closed, man. You know, look up, take a deep breath, take it all in, study your past, find out where you're from. You know, those things are important.
They are very important. You're right. You're right.
You know, sometimes you just gotta stop. Go ahead, brother.
I almost want to say it's almost a generational thing too, because I've noticed a lot of people that I know around our age group, they remember the differences in the way things were and the way things are.
Sure.
On all levels, all topics. And the majority of all these people that I know that talk about these things, they are aware of those things. And then, but being aware is completely different than being aware and not caring about it. I don't know if it's some kind of mechanism. And again, I'm not going off on a different direction here, but I think with some people, they just don't want to pay attention out of fear. They don't want to know what's coming. And then, you know, I run into people who are like, oh, I don't care, whatever happens, happens. Doesn't care if you're talking about tornadoes, martial law, or what you're talking about. I don't care whatever happens, happens. When it's my time, it's my time.
They're just living in the moment.
They're just living in the moment. But I always walk away from those conversations wondering, you know, like thinking to myself, okay, that whole statement was BS, but why was there such a BS statement? Do they truly just not care? Are they just uninformed, or are they scared?
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason for everybody's reaction to things or thoughts on things, and to just not care. It's my time to go. It's my time to go. I don't buy into that. I think maybe they are afraid, and so they don't want to think about it because it keeps them in fear, or maybe they feel like the less they know, the less they'll worry. If that makes sense.
Well, there's that old saying, Nikki, that once you know the truth, you're held accountable to spread that. You know, if you don't, it's human nature. Like when your eyes become open to something, you're like, oh man, like when I learned something new, I'm on the phone to you, dude. You are not going to believe this, man. You know, because I want to share that with you because I feel it's important, and I know you care about those kind of things because you want to know what's going on. I know a lot of people in this world are not like that. The majority of the people are not like that. One of my best friends right now, it's a woman. She could care less what happens today, tomorrow, or next week. She's a very spiritual woman, though. She's in her word. But as far as news, what's going on around the world, what's going on in her own backyard, she could care less. It doesn't affect her one way or the other. And that's fine. That's okay to live like that. And I respect it. But I was always raised to seek the truth, to fill my head with knowledge. And once I find something out, I'm held accountable to spread that on to the next person so that they're aware of it. Good and bad. You know? So,
right.
Folks, I know we sound like we're just sitting here talking to each other, but we are talking to you. And we are here to share this information with you. And hopefully you enjoy what we bring. And there's going to be banter back and forth like this with us because it's just, that's what a show's about. It's, doesn't always have to be about the research, the videos, the pictures, the guests or this or that, even though we bring guests on. Sometimes it's just fun to shoot back and forth and talk about just reality,
Well,
life.
and let me add this too. I know we're both very passionate about life.
Mm-hmm.
Getting out and doing things and having experiences, that's great. I love to do those things as much as anybody else. But because, I really value life, I want great things for everybody on this planet. I want people to be informed, and so I do take things passionately about all these things because I've got kids. What's this place going to be like in 30 years,
Right.
40 years, 50 years through their adulthood? What is life going to be like? And that, that includes all topics, all conspiracies, all what ifs, woulda, couldas, and shouldas. I'm on this stuff on a daily basis. I try to learn new things. Well, I don't try. I do learn new things every single day. And I always try to put them in some sort of, I put them in some sort of scale, and I start investigating all these different things. So a lot of the knowledge that I have about some of the topics that we cover is from that. I do a lot of investigating and research every single day, and you do too, Rich.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because we're both passionate about all these things, and these things matter to us, and they matter to the future of all of civilization, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with that said, we're going to kind of delve back into the geoengineering for a minute. I thought this was pretty, and this is a good one that I want. And folks, go look this up too, if you don't believe what we're saying. But this one, I say FICA. It's FICCA instead of like the FICA where they take your money, FICA. It's called all right, let's say FICA or FICA Cool Project. And it deals with geoengineering with commercial aviation, okay? And it's the stratospheric sulfate injections into the fuel of commercial aircraft. Okay, you hear what I just said?
Yep.
Stratospheric sulfate injections, the fuel of commercial aircrafts. And what is proposed with this project is this. Commercial aircraft could be used to deliver sulfate into a stratosphere by increasing fuel sulfur content and the flight altitude of intercontinental flights. The sulfur content of the fuel should be increased to about 50 times the current level to have a significant cooling effect. The cooling effect will be confined to the northern hemisphere. Wild.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Let that just sink in for a minute. And then they show a figure here, and I'll put this up for you guys. It says global mean of all sky aerosol forcing at the surface with intercontinental flight routes are in the lower stratosphere, and the sulfate content of the fuel, it shows it on this diagram, being the levels of normal, and then at the 50 times, which they just said in there to use it 50 times. And I'm going to tell you what, folks, it covers 80% of the land masses showing being polluted or contaminated by this.
Isn't that nice?
But hey, it's just all a conspiracy. And this is an actual document coming from the geoengineering project, FICA Cool. But hey, what do we know?
Yeah, it blows me away. Okay, this information is like the public can get this. And it blows me away that people have radio shows and talk shows, podcasts. People that are very well known and respected will have shows actually trying to debunk all of these claims.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, because they're feeding to the masses. They've got 4, 5, 6 million viewers. So I'm not going to call them shills or being bought out or controlled, but they're shills. They're bought out. They're controlled. Perfect example. Get mad at me, hate me. I don't even care. Joe Rogan used to be a super big time conspiracy theorist. Him and his best friend, okay, Eddie Bravo.
Yes.
All right. They used to talk about the moon landings and all the space stuff and this and that, and they would show images, the bubbles coming up saying, look, man, that was filmed in a pool. You see them bubbles? When it was really them supposed to be in outer space, or all this green screen and blue screen effects where they're handing something to somebody on the ISIS and then there's nothing there that they grab. Like he was cued to grab something, but it didn't show up on the green screen and he just grabs at the air. They would point these kind of things out together. But now he calls his own best friend, Eddie Bravo, crazy. He'll invite him back on the show and they make fun of him. The same stuff that him and Eddie used to sit and shoot the crap about and try and say, yes, this is really going on. Now Joe Rogan's like, nope, I don't buy any of it. I've totally, I've went the other way on it. And then he'll have guys on like, you know, Bill Nye, the science guy, who I think we're going to have a guest on in the next several weeks that has more education than he does. You know, and how he was chosen to be the czar of science and to tell us what's right and wrong, I have no clue. But if you look at the guy's past history, I mean, he's more of an actor. And so is, what's that other guy? Neil Tyson deGrasse or Neil deGrasse, whatever his name is. Oh man, he thinks he's just the cockswalk of the ball. I mean, dropping mics on the stage, you know, then he's saying, you know, I don't ever get into this, but I'm just bringing it up now because I think it's funny. You know, you got people that believe the earth is flat. You got people that believe the earth is round. But then Neil says, the earth is pear-shaped. Huh? Pear-shaped? Where do you get that from? Because he doesn't want to just come out and say, no, it's round, no, it's flat, you know, this and that. And that's something we can look into too. Maybe have some guests on to talk about the flat earth, because that does interest me, man. They do make some they make some very good valid points to make you go, okay. But yeah, Neil deGrasse, he says yeah, the earth is pear-shaped. That because the way it's spinning, the top will be a little skinnier and then the middle fatter, and then I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now I live on a pear. And this guy is supposed to be one of the greatest minds of our time.
Well, good thing he didn't say something like a banana or something.
Oh, man, give me Stephen Hawking back, even though I didn't like what he had to say half the time. At least he made sense, and at least he knew, hey, guys, don't do that. It's dangerous. That will blow us up.
Right, exactly.
You know. But yeah, no, now we got Neil Tyson deGrasse, whatever his name is, and Bill Nye, the science guy, who's like 85 and out of his mind now, and they put him on every show there is to debunk everything now, and people love that guy, man. They buy into his crap, dude. And he doesn't make half a cent. He doesn't make any. I don't know. Don't get me into that. But
I'd rather watch Crocodile Hunter rerun.
No, dude. Oh, dude.
I'm just saying.
I would just put me in a room, and I would rather sit in a room with kids running their nails across a chalkboard for 10 hours than listen to either one of those guys speak.
Right?
Well, I'm just being real. But go, let's get back on this thing, man. We're having too much fun tonight, dude.
Of course.
Folks, hopefully you're having fun with us, man. I know we're all over the place, but hey, we got to have fun every now and then, right? We can't be all business. You know,
that's right.
We're gonna consider tonight's show the mullet of the Conspiracy Corner shows. You know, business in the front, party in the back, baby.
I love it. That's the best.
But back onto some stuff here. HAARP. You know, they're creating artificial plasma clouds. You know, we have the DARPA Project Nimbus. And get this, they have laser-guided lightning weapons, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, DARPA, Project Nimbus, lightning control. They have laser guided lightning weapons. Could that start a fire? Maybe. Just saying. And how about this one too, with heart? The ionospheric,
Oh yeah.
the ionospheric heater that they sold to the University of Alaska. And they've got it online right now. And that's been up since 2015. And what I found ironic about this is the little symbol that they have, the placard on it. It's the shape of a hurricane with this machine in the middle. And then it's stamped Area 49. Does that have anything to do with maybe Area 51? Area 49 is another kind of base that where HARP is working out of. I don't know, maybe. I haven't done a lot of research into that.
I wonder if it's near Area 51.
I don't know. I know some of the S's are S1 and some of the other ones. Oh, I know what I wanted to bring up with the geoengineering, man, and because this one strikes close to home. With us having the tornadoes that we live through here in Oklahoma, they're creating these. They want to create. They've got diagrams and they've already built smaller levels of it. And it kind of goes back to what I was talking about with the 1984 World's Fair, where they were doing the small tornadoes in that little clear box, and you can see it moving. Well, they're doing this on a grander level, and they want to do it to harness energy from it. They want to build, like, you know how we have these giant windmills all around Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Well, they want to build these big sphere cylinder deals and create basically essentially tornadoes and harness the energy from them. Now, inside of these. So how could that be controlled?
Isn't that cute? What's wrong with these knuckleheads? Why would they want to do such a crazy thing?
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, and there's all kinds of things like this that they've got, talking about steering cyclones with a thunderstorm solar-powered satellite. And I mean, the list is long. It's dirty, it's crazy, and it's almost, when you hear some of this stuff, you're like, man, that's fake. They don't have stuff like that. They can't be, but it's all right there for your knowledge, folks. It's there. You just got to find it. And a lot of it is government documents that are open to the public now.
Right. That's true.
And, with that said, brother, we don't have to go too much deeper into this. We've enlightened the fans, I think, enough. We'll toss some videos in here, some pictures. I'll throw in some information when we do the post edit. And we'll just go from there. Do you have anything else you want to add, brother?
No, I think we kind of, touched on all the topics or areas of these topics that I was really interested in, and you shed some light on a few things that I was kind of questionable on. So yeah, I learned some stuff tonight. Right on. Hey,
I'm glad. Hey, there's one fan that learned something.
That's right. I'm your biggest fan, bro.
Dude, I'm your biggest fan. I learned so much from you. It's pitiful. A lot of Hollywood sleaze, but I love it.
Well, what can I say?
Hey, I know some stuff about Kat Von D. Don't none of y'all know.
I don't know nothing about Kat Von D.
I know something about Motley Crue's former bodyguard. None of y'all know. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think I want to know that one either.
Well, you already do. You told me.
Oh, gosh.
You ain't getting out of that.
Right. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah, like we always say that. It's a whole nother show. And folks, we love you. God bless. Stay safe. And good night.
Peace out.